Basketball fans, hoopsters, hoop junkies, ballers, welcome back. You're in the zone. Rich Sutter, Pete Coles, best basketball show in the nation, folks. We're bringing it to you live here. We're in the middle of NBA playoffs. We've got some NCAA portal news. We've got moving, shaking. Finally, Pete, April 24th, the portal has finally closed. That doesn't mean it's closed. We'll explain what that means later on a little bit in the show.
With exceptions.
We're a long way from Oklahoma, Pete. Long way from Tipperary. Okay, so we start our show every week with a segment called Pete's Corner. 1, 2, 3. Pete hits me, tries to knock me out with his 1, 2, 3 punch. And today we're ready to rock and roll. I've been on the road for 3 days. So in order to quote the movie Johnny Dangerously, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Shoot, Pete.
Your first question is I want you to react to this video comments.
In all honesty, is you get paid off of potential. A rock star, you have to be good. You know what I mean? You get paid off of potential in that sport.
Oh, really? Yeah, because every game, it's about the potential.
Well, even then, if you come in now, most of our young kids come in now, we don't know how great they're going to be, but yet they got 5-year guaranteed, millions of dollars, admirations of many.
But don't you think that's
deals.
partly because of you?
Partly interpreted totally wrong. And I would say that with
straighten me out.
I will straighten you out,
Okay.
so I promise.
Yeah, but let me say this one thing.
No, let him straighten me out first. Yeah, why?
You see why? I mean, he dominates everything.
No, I want you to tell me why.
The reason is that when you look back in our era,
Yeah.
you know, Michael Jordan, the Magic Johnsons, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley's, we earned what we got. That means when the corporate people came back, and I don't mean to demean the young kids, because I think it's something that they have to learn, and hopefully they will learn that, is that when the corporate America came to us, we had a game that could validate their admiration
And sponsorship and all that, yeah.
Now they get that before they play one game.
Yeah.
So you're rolling the dice to see if this kid's ever going to be good or not.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're paying the kid off of potential
Yeah.
that he may be great.
You don't think that's good?
No, because I think it sets bad work ethic. When you get something so easily, you're not going to work as hard.
You don't think so? Okay.
That quote was from 2017.
Pretty prevalent in the present day. No question.
I saw that come across my feed, and I went, "Oh, that's what we've been talking about for ages now."
Now, I have never seen that clip. So it took me a second there to digest some of it. But I'm going to come out swinging, Pete.
Yep.
I'm going to come out swinging, okay? Because everybody wants to look back and go, oh, it was better when I was here, and back in my day we walked to school and it was 6 miles uphill in snow. Everybody wants to have like that contest, you know? I'm not interested in that contest. I think they're all great players. I think the NBA's been great for years. I don't think that there's a marked difference between what goes on in the game right now than what went on during the game during Michael Jordan's time. Everybody says, oh, it was so different. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And there's a difference today also in that you have more athletic players, more larger players surrounding the basket. So it's a little bit of a different thing. But here's what I'm going to hit you with on that, Pete. All right? Nobody had the rules changed for them more than Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Does his and Tiger Woods' Nike contract constitute as potential? So when you're Tiger Woods and you're out there trying to win a tournament and everybody's sweating, some of those young cats out on the PGA Tour are trying to pay bills. They're trying to pay hotel rooms. They're trying to pay their caddy off, for crying out loud. And he's out there with a $50 million Nike contract. Does that take away all of that pressure? You better believe it does. Michael Jordan's out in the NBA with an NBA Nike contract, a shoe made after him, and a whole league designed to change and evolve around him.
Yeah, but that was at the end of his career, though. He's talking about at the beginning. He's talking about these guys coming into the league with a deal.
He came into the league with a Nike deal. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
These guys are coming in with the same stuff that they came in with, except it might be larger, it might be different. But nobody came in with a better deal than Michael Jordan. Nobody came in with a better deal than Tiger Woods. Their deal was already laid out and played out. Now, also, there's a book called The Jordan Rules. And I would suggest people read that. And if you listen to some of the officiating things around that, there was a significant change in the way that he was officiated in the game because he became a superstar. It's the same thing that happened to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was a great martial arts fighter. When he made 5 Fingers of Death, he couldn't fight anymore. Couldn't go out and risk the loss. So the same thing happened in the NBA. They couldn't risk the loss. They were making Jordan into this icon, sneaker built, the whole imagery of him with the extended arm with the basketball in it, getting ready to dunk it. I mean, that dominated the 80s and 90s of basketball. It was everywhere. So for him to say that these young guys are coming in on potential, I get it. That's the name of the game, man. Potential. That's what you got to do. One guy is Michael Jordan, and the next guy should be named Stanley Jordan, and you should be playing bass in a band somewhere. But that's what the game is. That's the game. You got to pick it right. And Michael Jordan wasn't the greatest player of all time. Wasn't drafted number 1. He was drafted 3rd. Luka Doncic, the Joker, weren't exactly high draft picks. So I don't know if that equates, but while I was watching that question, and I love you can't keep Barkley quiet for like 3 minutes.
No, it's impossible.
You just can't keep him quiet for 3 minutes. And I love Jordan telling me he tries to dominate every conversation. Just put him back on the couch here for a few minutes and let me finish what I'm saying. He did have a lot of good points, Pete. He did have a lot of good points. But the point that I'm taking with this is he tried to exclude himself from that. And he was in it. He was all around it. He was the poster child for it.
Okay.
So I get it. Great criticism. He shouldn't be the one making it.
Wow.
Number two.
So we're in the NBA playoffs. I'm just kind of why should you watch the NBA playoffs? How's that?
Okay. It's much more
to a casual.
It's much more intense than the regular season.
Okay.
You've already had like 3 fights break out. Jimmy Butler went off the court hurt the other night. The level of play is better. And these now you're seeing it where what you and I talked about on the show a little bit for a while now is the young NBA versus the established NBA. The Kevin Durant's, the Steph Curry's, the LeBron Jameses are now up against Ant Edwards and Paolo Banchero and some of the great young players that are in the game right now. I think you're seeing that play out in the playoffs the other night. A couple of fights broke out. Defense was much better. There's a couple of these series where they really, really have some mismatches, so you're not going to see too much of that. But I'm going to, no one's more critical of the NBA than me, I would say. And you and I love to hammer them. And there's plenty of ammunition in that. But on this one, I've been watching, and right now, I think the Celtics series has been pretty good. The Warriors are in a good matchup there. So I think there's some good stuff going on. The Lakers have their hands full. We didn't expect that. The Rockets came back the other night and played very, very well against the older Golden State Warrior team. And if that injury to Butler stays out and becomes more significant, that series could change on a dime. Because last night, you saw the Houston Rockets come out with their young guns, athletic, in the lanes, and they were punking people last night. They were knocking people around. Draymond Green doesn't like it when he gets hit. But that series is a series of dirties, as we've talked about before, Pete. You got dirty Draymond and dastardly Dylan. And those are the 2 dirtiest guys in the NBA, and they're matched up against each other right now. Unbelievable. Good one, though, Pete. I like that.
All right, and the final one, is the NCAA going to, do you think over the summer they're going to change their mind about Title IX and come on board with where the direction of the federal government's going?
For NIL?
Just in general.
In terms of revenue sharing?
No. What we're saying is, so Title IX, in the fact that they're still supporting the rules of the previous administration where as transgender athletes can be in a women's locker room. You think they're going to come around on that? Because they still staunchly said they're going to stay with the status quo.
So Charlie Baker said that they're going to. The reason that they wound up in the predicament that they wound up in was because they followed the law, and he copped out. And then you saw him get interrogated closely by Josh Hawley on a and a
Congressional
Senate
hearing,
on
yeah.
a Senate hearing, and basically, Hawley had him admit that you did a little bit more than follow the law. You didn't have to go as far as the extent of what you did. Now, the law's changed
Yeah.
on a federal level. There are states that are saying they won't cooperate. It will wind up in the courts. The administration has already proven their ability to pull back funding in those states. And so we're going to see this thing unearthed, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be down to the very, very end. They're going to go snarling and fighting about this. And I've just always been a little bit surprised, honestly, at the people around this and the lack of conviction around this, honestly, and the way that the whole thing has went. For that to ever have occurred, for me, is a little surprising. And now we're in court actually fighting whether that should continue to occur. It's to me, it's something that it just goes beyond my scope sometimes of mental capacity, I think. I think it really does. As much as I think about it and as much as I give it thought, and I want to be thoughtful and empathetic on all rounds, I just think they're losing me a little bit on this one. I really do. I really think that they should have never wound up in this position in the first place. If you're talking about fairness and equity, and you should have. That's the NCAA's job.
Right. They're supposed to be the guys that are making sure everything's on the up and up.
And then for them to say in a hearing, well, we were following the law. And then for the hearing to come out and say, well, you did more than follow the law. You didn't have to do what you did. And so hiding behind that, well, we were just following the law, that doesn't work. You did more than that. And when you did, I think you stepped in a bucket. And right now you're having a tough time getting your foot out, to be very honest with me, if you ask me. They don't want to totally turn around and go, so there's going to be some fighting on this.
I mean, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Between that and the portal and NIL and everything else, how does the NCAA stay relevant? That's the question for the summertime, I think.
And I got another point of discussion down here, but let's bring it up now that you brought up that point. Is right now you're talking about a guy who's asking for $4 million in the portal. He's supposed to be the number one guy in the portal right now, P.J. Haggerty, one of the top targets, transferring out of Memphis, going into the portal, has a $4 million ask, which equates to $130,000 a game, which puts him at the top level of the NBA. Steph Curry and those type of numbers, they're getting $130,000 per game. So the $4 million ask period, I think it's a little bit different. Probably not up at that high level where you're getting $50 million. But he's well ahead of a lot of people in the NBA right now. And at the same time, now these agents are getting cockier than ever, and they're asking schools, and this kid ought to fire his agent, honestly, personally for me, because they're asking, and I don't know if he's involved in this, and if he is, he should fire himself, because he's asking for a position agreement. He's asking to be the point guard. Not only are these guys coming in with the presumption of
so they're negotiating pro contracts.
I'm going to be a starter. Even pros don't get that. These guys are asking for stuff that's not even in an NBA contract. That's the stuff that drives me a little bit crazy here. Same thing, Pete. Don't know how we got here. Really don't. We got here very quickly, though. And I think what happens was you saw what happened in a country over a period of 4 years. A group of people say we got 4 years to dramatically change this thing. And I'll say this, anybody with $1 billion can change America right now. Anybody that has $1 billion or more than $1 billion can implement significant change in this country, even if it's for the bad, even if it's no good for the country. If you have $1 billion, you got a lot of sway right now, and we have a lot of people with over $1 billion. It's problematic.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to NBA baseline, Pete. Then we're going to scoot to the playoffs and hustle right through the NCAA, give you a little bit of portal potty update, give you a little bit of who's shaking, who's baking, and there was staggering Staggering statistics came out this week on the portal, Pete. Staggering.
No.
And it's not good.
You don't say.
65% of everybody that enters into the portal doesn't go to another place. 65% of the portal doesn't go to another place. Now, they're not tracking students that are moving down.
Are they going? Oh, they don't go up?
They don't go up. They don't go over 65%. And what you're seeing is a very, very bifurcated situation, almost like an NBA draft where you got about 2 rounds. Maybe it's probably more than 60 players in this cohort, but maybe not. Maybe not. There might even be less here, but that's who they're all competing over. A cohort of 40, 50, 60 players like an NBA draft, and that's what's going on right now, that they're drafting into the portal. But let's jump into the playoffs for a second. NBA playoff baselines. The Lakers got hit right away in game 1 in that series, and that was what we call a service break. That's a tennis term, but it's also an NBA playoff term. And a service break in the NBA playoffs is what happens when you have home court advantage and the other team takes a game from you in that first round.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
That's exactly what happened with the Timberwolves. And Pete, again, a little bit of in-the-zone prophecy. We gave it to you, and we said this was going to be a problem. The Lakers don't have anybody to guard Anthony Edwards. In the first game, he roamed free as a bird, had 9 assists, and went crazy. Second game, didn't have any assists, which was odd, but played pretty good. But the Lakers did a better job of defending him that second time. James Harden, game 1 for the Clippers, was absolutely spectacular. They lost the game. Nuggets came back and did a really good job. But then in game 2, Kawhi Leonard, well-rested Kawhi Leonard, came back and had another monster game, and that put the Nuggets on their heels. OKC Thunder right now, they hung a 50-piece McNugget on the Grizzlies the first night out of the playoffs. Now, do you belong in the playoffs if the first game you play against another team, and this wasn't an end-of-game 50-piece either. You know, usually you get to it, all right, it's 20, and then all of a sudden the other team just throws up their hands and no, this was bad. From minute 1. This was turn the TV off bad. This was terrible. And I don't know what they're going to do about some of this stuff, because if the NBA continues to split, schism, and bifurcate like it is right now, you have teams in the playoffs right now that really, honestly, they probably don't belong in the playoffs. Ja Morant and the Grizzlies right now, they looked awful, and they're in trouble. Kawhi Leonard back from the injured list and well-rested. The Pacers, Clippers, Warriors, and Timberwolves all created service breaks in their series. Okay, I'm going to give that to you again. The Pistons with the Knicks, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Timberwolves all had service breaks. The Warriors looked very good in their win. Jalen Brunson is smothering the Knicks offense, folks. Smothering it. It's got just his offensive production doesn't match his output. He shoots the ball way too much for a point guard for me, and his numbers are way, way off. I haven't seen him shoot over 50% in a game in a really, really long time. Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics, happy news for folks in Boston and Celtics land, and well-deserved award. I believe Peyton Pritchard was given the Sixth Man of the Year award by the NBA. What a year this young man's had as well, and I just love him. Love the way he plays. And then playoffs this year, Pete, you asked the question. I think they've been a little more physical. I think there's a little more defense. When you see some of the scores, I think you'll see that defense is starting to kick in. A little more clutch and grab, a lot of fouling, a lot of physicality, a couple of fisticuffs breaking out here and there. So you can tell people are interested a little bit. All right? But, you know, I don't like dirty basketball either. Play it straight. You can play physical without being dirty. Some of what I've seen, it borders on the unnecessary, and it borders on the dirty. Unnecessary means the whistle stopped and you and the guy are jawing back and forth and you're going at it and you're pushing, shoving, and the bench is clear, everybody comes out. That's unnecessary. There's no reason for that. You know, and the other one is incidental contact where, you know, you're going into a situation, guys going to the basket, and somebody does something really dirty. You know, those are some of the things I've been watching, and it's a little bit uninspiring, although happy to see that they've picked up their level of defense just a little bit. Because I think if you had playoff games that were 140 to 120 with guys hoisting 100 threes in that game, that's why the fouls are down too, because that's why free throws are down, because everybody's shooting all the threes. So right now, in this moment, Pete, you have the Celtics over the Magic 2-0. We're going to explain to everybody how we got there, but Celtics are over the Magic right now 2-0, and they look pretty good. Again, mash unit continues. The big fella, Kristaps Porzingis, takes a shot to the face the other night, comes out, takes a couple of stitches in the locker room, comes back out and delivers the Celtics to victory. Really, really like a Rocky moment of him coming out of the tunnel there with the stitches on. And a couple of good comments by him after the game. And Coach Mazzella, I think that guy needs to have his head examined sometimes because he's like, I love to see him bleeding on the floor, coming back and then doing, I'm like, hey, Joe, the other thing too is, I don't know, man. You might get a little heat for this. Jason Tatum missed his first playoff game ever last night. Again, was it dirty? Was it, hard foul, whatever? He got knocked to the ground bad, goes down, hurts his wrist, and rolls around on the ground. The trainer gets ready to run out. He grabs the trainer by his arm and says, don't go. And then yells out to Jason Tatum, who's on the floor, writhing in pain, get up. You can see him mouthing, get up. And I'm just sitting there going, I think this guy needs to have his head examined because I get it. And that's what you want to be saying. But you're an NBA coach right now, and they can read every word that comes off your lips. You might want to watch that. Cavaliers Heat 2-0. Cavaliers Heat 2-0. Because what if he was significantly hurt? Right? He's on the ground, Tatum.
Yeah.
And he's significantly hurt. You don't know that at that minute. And you're yelling at him like he's faking the injury. You're yelling at him, get up. You don't know what happened to him. What if he broke his wrist? What if it's compound fractured and you haven't seen it?
Yeah, but there's been so many accusations this year of guys flopping and guys going out for BS injuries.
100%. But if you're an NBA coach, you need to know the difference. That wasn't a flop. He was going to the basket and got hammered by somebody and went to the ground and just got his wrist curled underneath him in the wrong way. That can happen when you fall in a basketball game.
All right.
Joe Mazzella knows that, Pete. I don't know, man. It just, to me, I like him, but that was a bad moment, I thought.
Okay.
I didn't really think that was cool. That's your best player. Find out if he's okay. And then bring him to the bench and say, hey, man, come on, you got to get up. You got to, you can say something to him then, but to be screaming at a guy who's 75 feet from you, writhing on the ground in pain to get up, I think, he could have waited. Like I say to all these guys, you can wait.
All
Let
right.
the trainer go out and do his job. Joe, when you're at the end of the game and you get ready and the timeout is called and you go and you grab your clipboard and you head into the huddle to draw up your magic play that's going to win the game, does the trainer grab your arm? No. He lets you do your job. You let him do his job. Trainer goes out, checks on the player, comes back, says he's fine. That wasn't the case. He missed the game. The following game, he missed the game. So it has to be somewhat of a significant injury. That, by definition, he missed the very next game. He fell hard. I'm sitting there as a coach going, why is this guy yelling at him? He fell hard on the ground. He might have broken his wrist.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just
Okay.
seeing things a little different than everybody else today. I like Mazzulla, but I thought he was off the line there.
Okay.
Cavaliers and Heat 2-0. The Cavaliers are good. Cavaliers are good. I think they're better than the Knicks. I think they're going to be with the Celtics in that final. I think that could be a really good Eastern Conference final matchup. I think the Knicks are just falling off because Brunson's just smothering the basketball again. Timberwolves and Lakers 1-1. Timberwolves broke serve, but the Lakers came back in game 2 and did what they had to do. Big game from Luka. Rockets and Warriors 1-1. Warriors came in day 1, showed the young guns what it was all about, punched them right in the nose in game 1. And then looked like they coasted a little bit to me in game 2. The Houston Rockets definitely had the excitement, energy, and enthusiasm for that game. And that's so much of basketball is your team enthusiasm, excitement for playing defense, loose balls, rebounds, all that good stuff that happens. That happens when a team is energized. I didn't see the Warriors be that energized, but they're probably going home 1-1 and happy about that. They're a veteran team. Knicks and Pistons, 1-1. The Pistons gave them a punch in the nose. And again, I think the Knicks got way, way too much ball control going on out there in Jalen Brunson's hands. Pacers and Bucks, this is a little surprising, Pete. Pacers are up 2-0. Bucks, if they get swept, I think you're going to see Doc Rivers get fired. I'm just calling that right now. Thunder and Grizzlies 2-0. Hasn't been close in either game. They go back to Memphis. Maybe they can change things right now, but that was a 50-point beatdown. And then you think you come back and fight like rabid dogs after that? They really didn't. They really didn't. Nuggets and Clippers are 1-1. Clippers are giving the Nuggets a lot of trouble. Here's what I'm going to say to all my Nuggets people out there. I know you just fired your coach, so maybe this is a little bit of a problem. 4 games left in the season. You decide to take out your head coach. But I'm just going to throw this up there and take it for what it's worth. James Harden beat them time and time and time and time again with his left hand. And he is a dominant left hand player. My thing for the Denver Nuggets, make them go the other way. Just try it. He beat you 75 times in the first 2 games going left. That can't happen. Every coach that's CYO and above knows take away the guy's stronger hand. He let him beat you 70 times with the same hand, and he's deadly when he gets around that corner. He's deadly. Okay, tonight, nice little Thursday action for you tonight. This is why I think the playoffs has been okay, Pete, because right now this is really their high season. This goes from April all the way till almost the end of June. It's almost as long as almost other parts of the season, you know, and certainly the second half since the All-Star break. But I think right now they're got an energy level that's not bad. Tonight you have the Knicks and the Pistons. That's 1-1. And it's back to Detroit because the service break. If they go down 2-1, the Knicks are in trouble. And Tibbs, if they lose in this first round, I don't think he'll be coaching the team next year either. Thunder and Grizzlies, okay, nice game tonight. If the Grizzlies can get off the deck and stay close. They haven't even been able to stay close. And the Nuggets and the Clippers. All right, let's go through how we got here. In day 1, okay, the Pacers and the Bucks, 117-98, wasn't even close, and it was a really, really good game for the Pacers. Siakam, 25-7. Giannis had a monster game, but there's just not enough around him right now in Milwaukee for them, I think, to beat the Pacers. I'm going to call for the broom to come out on this one, Pete. Let's bring the broom out. They're going to get swept. Nuggets and Clippers in that first game, 112-110. Best game so far of the playoffs. It went to overtime. The Nuggets went up 1-0. Russell Westbrook, of being on almost every single NBA team and every franchise, clutch at the end of the game. Joker was monster, so was Harden. The Knicks slipped over the Pistons. Actually, if you look at that series, Pistons and Knicks, and you look at it for the length of time that it's been, the 96 minutes or whatever that it's been, you know, you're talking about the Pistons owning a good 75 of the 96 minutes. They've been in control of that series. The Knicks in game 1 came back, got on a roll late in the fourth quarter and won the game. But so far, you know, the Knicks had a 21-0 run in that game to end it. That's what pumped them over the top. But then the very next night, the Pistons came back and broke serve and took it. That put the Knicks up 1-0. Brunson had 34 that night, but he's 12 of 27. 27 shots. Timberwolves 117-95 over the Lakers in the LA Forum, and that is a punch in the chops. Okay, Lakers came back in game 2, but the Wolves just really, Edwards was great. 22, 8, 9 assists. Unbelievable. Naz Reid came off the bench with 23 and 5. Luka had 37 and 8. LeBron, 19 and 5. Now we move to the next night. We got Thunder and Grizzlies in game 1. Thunder and Grizzlies in game 2. Again, this was game 1. 131-80. The 51-piece nugget. Jalen Williams, good game.
Ouch.
Oklahoma City had everybody in double figures, including several cheerleaders and several assistant coaches. Celtics over the Magic in game 1, 103-86. Really, really good game for Banchero. But the Celtics have looked good. Celtics have really, really been moving the ball. Peyton Pritchard had a monster game that night. Followed it up with a pretty good game in game 2 also. Cavaliers and the Heat. Cavs just have too much. Tyler Herro has really introduced himself as one of the good players in the NBA right now, but they got way too much going on around him. Donovan Mitchell, 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, monster game. But the story was Ty Jerome, off the bench for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to go back and tell you a story. When I was a young coach, there was a young kid who came into the gym, and he was about 12, 13 years old, and we watched him. He said, wow, this kid's pretty good. His name was Mark Jerome. And Mark Jerome wound up playing at McBurney in New York City and wound up going to Lafayette playing for Butch Van Bredekoff, one of the old great coaches of all time. Ty Jerome is his son. Ty Jerome was also University of Virginia national champion. Comes out the other night off the bench, 28 points, and they were flamethrowers, Pete. He was firing from three-point range. Unbelievable. He was 5 of 8 from three-point range.
Wow.
The Warriors clipped the Rockets in that first game, 95-85. Butler and Curry combined for 56 of the 95 points. The Rockets got a much better game out of Van Fleet the second night, but he was awful in game 1. Night 3, this is where the Pistons caught a little bit of revenge, 100-94, tied the series 1-1. Free throws were 34-19. That was the differential. Tibbs talked about that. Coach Thibodeau talked about that in his press conference. I really didn't get what he was saying because they got a guy on the Pistons, Cade Cunningham, who gets a lot of calls, and the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, they were looking for the same calls. But if you look at that box score, those two shot almost identical amount of free throws. So I'm not sure. In the team differential, it was certainly there. But he kind of went down to having it locked down to Brunson and the other guy. But Tobias Harris, the 76ers traded away to the Pistons, one of the reasons the Pistons resurrected this year. And he has had a monster series. Clippers and the Nuggets. Clips got him and tied it up 1-1 after an overtime. Kawhi had 39 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. The Joker went for 26, 12, and 10. Okay, unbelievable. We move into night 3. The Pacers and the Bucks, 123-115. The Pacers lead 2-0. Get the broom out, folks. It ain't going to be pretty. Giannis, what a monster game, but that young man's out there on the wing by himself. 34 points, 18 rebounds, 7 assists. He was 14-20 from the floor. Bobby Portis, a great game, but Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton are operating at a different level for the Pacers right now. OKC 118, the Grizzlies 99. Come back after a 50-piece and give up a 20-piece. Don't like it, Pete. You got to show me something there, Grizz. You got to show me some heart. All right, OKC up 2-0 in that series. They have been absolutely super on both ends of the basketball.
With authority. With authority.
Total authority right now. And I don't know anybody in the West right now that you're sitting there going, yeah, they'll challenge them. I don't know. We'll see. Timberwolves and Lakers. Lakers come back 94-85. Luka, 31, 12, and 9. Monster game for Luka. LeBron, 21 and 11, but he just hasn't been playing great. But in that game, Timberwolves and Lakers, the Lakers were 6 of 29 from three-point range for 20%. And Edwards had a monster game, 25 and 6, but did not have an assist, where the other night he had 9. Very, very interesting defensive play by the Lakers there to try and contain him in a different way. Celtics and Magic in game 2, 109-100. Paolo Banchero for the Magic is just sensational. 32, 9, and 7. 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Tatum was the first playoff game he missed. And again, we talked about the big dog Porzingis taking a shot to the chin, coming back, getting stitched up, coming back and leading the team to victory. Jaylen Brown, get ready for this one, Pete, 36 points. Unbelievable night. And had an unbelievable shooting night, 12 of 19 and 5 of 7. The Cavaliers have been slapping the Heat too. They haven't had a 50-piece or a 20-piece win, but those games haven't really been challenged. Cavs 2-0. Tyler Herro 33.6 rebounds, 5 assists. Unbelievable. On 14 of 24 shooting. Great stuff. Bam Adebayo 11, 14, and 9. Almost a triple-double for the big dog. Donovan Mitchell out of his mind right now playing for the Cavaliers, 7 of 10 from three-point range. If he shoots like that, they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose in the Eastern Conference if he shoots like that. Rockets, 109-94 over the Warriors. Payback. Here we go. Jimmy Butler took it on the chin. Steph Curry just hasn't been playing great. The Rockets have athletes that can defend him. They're putting larger players on him. They're using one of the Thompson twins. I think they got some stuff there that's giving the Warriors problems. But again, we'll see. We'll keep you posted on that. All right. So Pete, that's kind of where we are right now. That's kind of where we are right now with the NBA playoffs. You got a couple of 2-0s. You got a couple of 1-1s. You got a couple of 0-2s. People out there looking like the Grizz, there's no way that you come back from that, And right now,
is that because of the expanded playoff format?
Possible. They got a little roughed up in that first one. I just think they got a problem. And the problem is they got a guy on their team who suspended for a myriad of games last year. Very mercurial, superstar player, no question. But again, in and out of the locker room this year, a bunch of problems. And that's not a guy you can count on. And so I think they're kind of adrift. And there are other people tried to step up and do some stuff. But I think as long as you have that type of locker room distortion, you're not going to be able to be a successful franchise. Because these guys are together like more than a married couple.
Yeah.
NBA players, they're together for practice. They're in the same hotel. They're on the same bus. Most of them are on the same flight. They spend an awful lot of time together, And so that's part of it. And there's always this grinding with basketball athletes and the locker room. They talk trash to each other. They talk trash to the other team. One guy has a good game. He's talking trash. The next guy has a bad game. He's getting hit. It's just unbelievable. Let me give you a dominant dozen, Pete, of the NBA playoffs so far. Kawhi Leonard, wow, what a performance the other night. I watched it. They just clear out on the wing, give him one-on-one space over there, clear him out on the other wing with Harden on the left side, and they just go one-on-one. And thus far, ain't nobody been able to stop either one of them. They both had monster games coming out of the gate, and the Nuggets better figure that out quick. Jalen Green from the Rockets, in Game 2, absolutely exploded on the Warriors. Fabulous young talent. He's one of the guys we're talking about. If he gets off the floor anywhere inside of the foul line, he's dunking the ball. He attacks the rim. I love the way he attacks the rim. He attacks the rim like a bulldog on a pork chop, Pete. He's just going at it, baby. There's no hesitation. He's going right to it. Okay, Paolo Banchero. Paolo. They don't have anybody to guard him. They don't have anybody to guard him in that series. He's doing a really good job, but they're making it work in other ways. But he's really, really put it on the Celtics a little bit. Jaylen Brown came bounced out. He says, I got my guy Tatum. I'd pick up for him. I'll take the slack. And boy, did he come out and have an absolute monster game. Still not sure it's worth $50 million, but boy, they could use them last night, and he showed up. Luka from the Lakers, 2 very good games for Luka. Donovan Mitchell, the Cavaliers, if you took this whole, as I said, this isn't in any particular order. If you took this whole thing right now and said, okay, Rich, who's number 1 on this dirty dozen you're throwing out here? I'd say you might have to go with Mr. Donovan Mitchell of the Cavaliers. He's been fabulous. Pascal Siakam of the Pacers, putting it to the Bucks 2 times in a row. James Harden, the first repeat. We got 2 Clippers here, and this is against the Nuggets. The Nuggets are in trouble here, Pete. I don't think firing a coach 4 games left before the playoffs started was such a great idea. I'm about to throw that out there. I'm not sure that was such a great idea, that you're going to take a guy who won the NBA playoffs the year before. And here's the other piece of it, too. Once the lineup is set, once the team is set, tell your general manager to go find some players. Why is he having these discourses with a head coach? And if you have to do something that I don't want to tell the Nuggets what to do, okay, but I'm going to tell you what to do. Let's rewind the clock. You go back to that same exact scenario. You're sitting in the room and they go, we got to fire Coach Malone and we got to fire the general manager, Calvin Booth. And you sit there and go, okay, Booth goes today and Malone goes when the playoffs are done. No problem.
That makes sense to me.
Booth goes today. Malone goes when the or they both go when the playoffs are done. But I don't get it. And now they've just ripped that team up, And I think the Clippers, man, they had him in game one. They had him in game one. Now, again, Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves, unbelievable. Monster, playing very, very well. Ant Edwards from the Timberwolves is just a young superstar in this league to go along with some really, really other great superstars. Interesting to see what will happen with the big man Victor Wembanyama moving down the line here to see if he comes back, because NBA young talent is there. Tyler Herro from the Heat, holy smokes, he has been heating up. Only thing is he's got nobody else helping him. Franz Wagner from the Magic playing really, really well, and Cade Cunningham of the Pistons. I'd throw in here from the Pistons also Tobias Harris. He's had a great playoff. All right, Pete, who are our young NBA draft entrants so far? We've got Con Knuppel of Duke. He's in.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a little bit of idea. I'm not going to get crazy because Pete and I are going to break down that NBA draft real soon for you. We're going to probably do it sometime in May, although June 25th is the actual date for the NBA draft. But what I'm going to say right here,
Sure
Pete,
does
is,
have a year left of eligibility and make some more money in college?
well, what happens, yeah, and what happens here is we'll talk about this again, and maybe this will occur till somebody sues them and says it doesn't occur no more. But right now, they'll have a deadline where all of these young men can either stay in the NBA draft or return to college. There's a deadline coming up later after this time where now you have to have a deadline to put your name in, and then there'll be a deadline which says, I'm staying in or I want to go back to college. Going back to college is a whole lot easier than it used to be, right? At 3, 2.
Yeah, it's not a hardship anymore.
It's not. It's not. And a matter of fact, they're getting absolutely crazy money. And what I'm going to promise the fans here also, in the coming weeks, we're going to dive into this NIL thing for you. We're going to dive into the whole thing, give you some parameters. But for right now, as we go through the NBA draft, like I said, Pete and I will put our draft together. But I'm going to give you a range, Pete. I'm going to give you a range on each guy if I can. Con Knuppel from Duke, great shooter. NBA needs shooters because they're all playing Euro basketball right now. I'm going to say, I'm just going to be fair, 15 to 20.
Okay.
15 to 25. Everybody thinks this draft is very, very deep. I want to see it on paper before I say that. I will say it'll be better than last year's, but I'll say right now I want to reserve just how deep. I mean, at the beginning of the year, everybody's like, oh, this is generational draft and blah, 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 blah. I don't know about that. Danny Wolf leaving Michigan. This is a young man I'm real high on. Again, I'm going to give him the same range as Con Knuppel, 15 to 20. 15 to 20. I might even move him up. I'm very high on Danny Wolf. Trey Johnson from Texas. He'll probably go in somewhere between the 4 and 8 range. First round. He's a star, and he's going to be a good NBA player. Asa Newell, Georgia. Bump him back off of Trey Johnson, maybe 6 or 7 spots. Maybe. I'm saying Asa Newell probably top 10, though. Will Riley from Illinois. I wasn't sure about this one, Pete. I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois comes up with a basket full of Easter candy and some money here late and says to Will Riley, take your name out. Because this is what each one of these young men has the ability to do right now. They're renegotiating. So if you're talking about P.J.
So they're
Haggerty.
using going to the draft as leverage.
Right. And you're looking at P.J. Haggerty who says, okay, I want $4 million and I want to play the point. Well, every one of these guys has now got, an NBA draft position and a place where they're going to earn money that they can talk to their college team about, okay, let's say Con Knuppel, let's just throw some crazy numbers out there, right?
Cue the insanity.
Let's say Con Knuppel's in at Duke for $500K right now. Maybe more. But it doesn't matter. Let's just pick a number. Okay, it's what my algebra teacher used to say to me all the time. It doesn't matter. Just pick a number. Okay, so we're going to pick that number, $500K. All right? Now he goes into the draft. He's looking, if I'm between 10 and 15, am I going to make $500K? Yeah, I am. So now he goes back to Duke and says, how can you make this better? So I'm not getting hit with a differential. I mean, he proved himself, right? One of the best players in the country. If he puts his name in the portal right now, is he worth $2 million? Every bit of it. every bit of it, every bit of 1.5, maybe more. Because if you wait, and now you can't put your name in the portal anymore, but if you're already in the portal, you can stay there until you wind up signing. Okay? But Will Riley might be a guy that's in that negotiation process. I'm not sure. Again, the range, I don't know if, I'm going to say 25 to 30 maybe in the first round. Milos Uzan played for Houston, had a great, great tournament for them. Name is in the portal. Name is also in the draft, so you got a little bit of everything going on. He's negotiating on all fronts. He's triangulating, Pete. He's got this front. He's got that front. He's got everybody bumping his number up, and more power to him. Kasparis Jakushonis from Illinois as well. I'm going to say, now with Uzan, I'm going to say he'll be lucky to go, I don't know, we'll see after the combine, but I'd say he'd be lucky to get into the first round. He might be a very late first rounder. 27, 28, 29, somewhere in there, maybe. Now, Kasparis, he's going to be a top 15. Going to be a top 15. Euro player, has the skills, has all the stuff that you need for an NBA player. Here's Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, boom, boom. Out go the lights in Piscataway, New Jersey. They brought in two great, great players, probably paid them very handsomely as well. Put a lot of eggs into that basket. It did not equate into good basketball team. They had one of the largest NILs with these two guys encumbered in these two players, and they finished terribly in the Big Ten. So they're going into the pros right now. Ace Bailey, I think I would be, I don't know, Harper's a shooter. Bailey's more of an athlete, can do a lot of things. I'm not sold right now on either one of these guys as top 5 where they are. I mean, I think you could certainly move one of them. Ace, move him into the 10, 12 range easily. And I think Dylan Harper could fall, should fall somewhere into the 15, 20 range. But we'll see. VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, again, didn't have a great year. Go to college, have that 1 year, and have a great year. Now, Edgecombe had a decent year for Baylor, but they had a load of talent on that team, and it didn't equate. They didn't really get far in the tournament, and Bailey and Harper didn't even make the tournament. So, I guess you got to say, how good were they? If you had two guys like that are on the same team and you guys didn't even make the NCAA tournament with the way the NCAA was handing out bids this year to all the power teams, you got to say that's a bit of a turnover. All right, you got Tyrese Proctor of Duke and Chase Richardson of Michigan State as well. There's a few more here, Pete, I'm going to give you. Igor Demin, let me go back. Proctor, I like Proctor, really shot the ball well. I'm going to put him in a 20-24 range. And then Chase Richardson, great athlete, got NBA kind of game right now. I'm going to say probably same range. Igor Demin, the big kid out of BYU, boy, if he returns to BYU with the guys they got cooking over there next year, they'll be champions. Chance to win national championship. They'll have a chance to be national championship if they go over there with Igor Demin back, but it looks like he'll stay. Top 10, probably top 15. Derek Queen of Maryland is in, the big cat. I love this guy, and I'm going to say he's number 2. I'm going to say if you're going to tell me Cooper Flagg is number 1, I'll go along with it. Derek Queen's my number 2 right now. Jeremiah Fears from Oklahoma, stud, great athlete, has a twin brother. They both might wind up in the draft. Fears is definitely top 15. Liam McNeely, Connecticut. I'm not a big fan, Pete. I don't see him getting anywhere in the 27, 28, 29 range somewhere in the first round. Everybody else has them 10, 11, 12. I don't see it. R.J. Luis from St. John's, big guard, has size, can shoot the basketball, will translate well to the NBA. I think he's also in the portal, so you might see some negotiation going on right there. R.J. Luis, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that range. Cooper Flagg, yeah, I think he's coming. And I think he'll be the number 1. Nate Biddle, this is a guy like Oregon, big white kid out of Oregon, plays, got good hands, runs the floor, legit 6'11", almost 7 foot. I'm going to put Mr. Biddle somewhere at the end of the first round. And Yaxel Landerberg, this is a thing that we're talking about a little bit and we'll continue to talk about, but the planning for these coaches right now, not only is there an added plate in the coach's dinner set where now he has to be a fundraiser as well. He's got to go raise some of this money. John Calipari only getting X amount of dollars because his football program's taking the most of it. Well, he's going to have to go out and get online and go get some dollars, and so he's raising money that way. But then again, here's the other uncertainty to it. You have Yaxel Landenberg. He goes from UAB, Alabama, Birmingham. He's a good player, too, and I'd say he's a top 15, okay? But he's also in the draft, but he also signed with Michigan. Not only is he in the portal, but he's in the portal. He committed to Michigan, and now he's gone. So what happens to Michigan if Yaxel Landenberg pulls the plug, goes into the NBA, and now Michigan's down a big man that they were hoping was going to fill in for Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf?
Just gets uglier and uglier.
It's got a lot of uncertainty out there, a whole lot of uncertainty. It's the law of unintended consequence right now. Okay, Bennett Sturts goes from Drake to Iowa, the point guard that came up from Division II. Great story. Donovan Dent, New Mexico, all the way to UCLA. Wanted to go to UCLA. They showed him no love. He went to New Mexico, and now he's going to live out his dream. You got Ian Jackson leaving North Carolina, going to St. John's. Here it is, folks. I'm going to give it to you right now. Everybody's got a way too early, top 25, and you are right. You are way too early. But I'm ready to name next year's number one right now, Pete, based on their NIL activity, based upon what Pitino's got going over there in Queens. St. John's is going to be my number one team next year. Forget Houston. Forget any of these teams. St. John's is loading up in a way that everybody else is just watching and going, what in the name of God are they doing over there? They got that big, big budget, baby. Silas DeMary going from Georgia to Connecticut. But if you're the folks at Connecticut, you're watching that thing circle the drain right now because St. John's is loading. They keep a very significant part of that team back, and now they're reloading again with unbelievable talent. If they play defense the way Pitino had them playing this year, they're going to be something else. Ade Mara going from UCLA to Michigan. Xavion Lee, Pete, here's one. He's leaving Princeton. One of the leading players in the Ivy League, going to play for the national champion Florida Gators. P.J. Haggerty, Pete, that's who we're talking about. P.J. Haggerty, he wants $4 million. He also wants a promise of a starting point guard position, which I don't think he played the point guard spot at Memphis. So he's never played the spot before. Maybe at some point. He's big. He's 6'8", 6'9", but I think he thinks he's Magic Johnson. But
time for the Potty graphic.
Who gets this kind of demand?
Well, you know what? They're going to keep pushing until somebody pushes back.
Pete, I want to take that graphic, and I want to be able to blow it up. Send it right through the roof. I want a rocket ship. I want to be able to blow that Potty up. Whatever comes out of it, I don't want to know. But man, oh man. All right. Now, if you look at this year's Sweet 16, and you're a person that has an inquiring mind, you sit there and go, how did this happen? How did all of this avalanche happen very, very quickly? Okay? And it's much like Pete alluded to in his earlier question where they said they were following the law. Well, here they're trying to say the same thing. We're just following the law. No, you're not. You took the law and you ran with it. You're blowing this thing up to a proportion nobody, and I mean nobody, would have anticipated in a very, very short amount of time. There's always consequence for that rapid plate tectonic shifting. You're going to cause some earthquakes somewhere. No doubt about it. But here's your Sweet 16 of this year. And this will give the people an idea of how long this has been going on. These are 22 and 23 season budget numbers. But again, obviously that pays dividends in the previous and ongoing years because you could take these numbers and only assume that they went higher. And you could take these numbers and assume that some of these people are not in the same position as they once were until they got a new coach. For example, Arkansas. You're going to see them here on this list spending this amount of money. I guarantee you they ain't spending that right now. Now that they got Johnny Cal over there, they're not spending that type of dollar right now. Here it is, Pete. Hold on to your hat. Kentucky, $24.2 million.
Wow.
That was Cal. Lost to Oakland, lost to St. Peter's with $24 million on payroll and got a better job or a new job. Shaking my head. Duke, $21.4 million. No surprise there. No surprise there. But now look at some of the drop here. Third place, Michigan, drops off almost $5 million. They go down to a paltry sum, a peasantry sum of $16 million payroll. I guarantee you, that's Michigan State. I guarantee you that these payrolls are not that same now. They're only doubled and gone through the roof. You're talking about some of these teams having $10 million in 1 year to spend. Nobody's counting all the old money. You got freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and now your new $10 million on top of all of that. No way these numbers will stay the same. Texas Tech, everybody's like, wow, how did Texas Tech get so good so fast? 16.1 million reasons why. Arizona,
There's
15.
your reason.
Yep, falling out of the sky in Texas, baby. All that oil money coming down out of the sky. Texas Tech, they want to be a player. Arizona, 15.9 million. Wow. Tennessee, 15.6. Auburn, 15.0. Arkansas, 13.8. I guarantee you that number's much, much higher. I guarantee you their backcourt this year. Boogie Flan's in the portal too. And I believe he'll go into the NBA as a draft entry as well. But look at those numbers. I guarantee you that Boogie Flan, John L. Davis, and some of the other players they had in that backcourt alone were close to that number right there.
I found video of the 65% that go in the portal and never come back.
Where are they, Pete? Just heading in, running to the potty. Boom. There it is. Boom shakalaka. Pete, I don't know if we can close any better than that. We got a minute. I'm going to run to the dash, but I don't know how you found that quick, man, but that was absolutely unbelievable. There's your 65% right there, up in smoke. Okay, Alabama slumming at 13 million. Mississippi has 13.4. Maryland, Coach Willard, we don't have any money. We don't have any money. You had 12 million, Coach.
Wow.
Michigan, 12 million. Houston, here's Houston. They finished second with 11 million. In front of Kentucky, in front of Duke, in front of Michigan State, they spent 10 million less and got better product. That's what I'm talking about here, Pete.
The G League be jealous like.
Baby, the G League's out. G League's dead. G League is gone the way of the NIT, Pete. They're a dinosaur. BYU, 10.6 million. They got a whole lot more than that wrapped up in this A.J. DeBonsa young man and Robert Hunter. I can assure you that. Purdue, 10.3. Florida Gators, 8.4, and they won the whole thing. That's called good decision making.
Yep.
Pete, that is the best video of the year, of maybe of the 104 shows that we've been doing. Folks, in the zone, we'll see you next week.